Hello, Internet Stream. I am Brandon from Node. I'm coming to you today with a walkthrough demonstration of the MrRobot vulnerable machine. So this is a machine you can find on vulnhub. This thing is a pretty easy one to get, so in terms of completing it. So I've got a environment set up here. It's a Kali Linux system. I have a little lab with this vulnerable machine booted up. I know what its IP address is, and I have basically already pinged this thing. So we can see the IP here. It's 192.168.226.132. Now, before I started, I just want to say that this information is strictly for educational use only. I am making this video to promote cybersecurity awareness, and I do not condone any kind of illegal activity, and certainly you should never use this information for evil or in any kind of illegal way. So penetration testing is an important cybersecurity skill, and it's a very important thing that I think there's sometimes difficult to get started and get all the information on. So this is for educational use only. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and see if we can get started here. So now, first step is, of course, we've pinged it, and I'm going to go ahead and do a quick little in-map on this guy real fast. So just to kind of throw down the in-map real quick here to this IP address, and I'm going to go ahead and let this run. Now, the very first thing that that I'm going to see as soon as I put the nmap down is basically what we end up with is port 80 being discovered very quickly. So you rapidly see that. And while we're doing this nmap, I guess the next one we'll go ahead and do is going to be nic2 -h 192.168.226.132:80. I'm going to go ahead and pop this guy open and see what is at port 80. So it's some kind of web application that is emulating a terminal prompt. And it says, "Hello friend, if you've come this far, you've come for a reason. You may not be able to explain it, but that's part of you that's exhausted with this world, a world that decides where you work, who you see, how you empty and fill your depressing bank account," so on and so forth. It's got some commands. If we look at this thing, like, we just say, what are we in? Like, what is this? Kind of like right click on this and let's just view the page source. You know, it says you are not alone. It's got some kind of a JavaScript thing we could probably like dig deeper into, obviously, and learn more about that if we wanted to. But for now, let's just go ahead and just type a command and just see what it does. So it gives us a little video, and it plays and tells us that we're owned. And it's kind of looks like some kind of a promotional video for something. So, you know, while we're kind of zeroed in on this, you know, we got to realize this is, you know, coming at us from something. So we could probably take a look at like how that video is getting to us and learn more about this thing. But let's just explore this site for a moment. Okay, so let's go ahead and just kind of run through some commands here, see what this gives us. Now at this point, we're running a nic2. We're kind of messing around with some commands in here, but we're running Burp Suite through this thing. So let's just see if Burp Suite kind of has, we should be at least running this thing. Yeah. So let's see if Burp Suite's found anything interesting yet that might be able to tell us a little bit about more about what we're working with. So far, you know, nothing's really popping out. Let's just keep on kind of going here. Okay, so this thing, you know, comes at us with the slider of some kind, and just keep on trucking. Here's another slider with some more images, kind of propaganda sort of images. Okay, so we've moved this far. Now we typed another command, and let's see what it does, if it does anything. Plays us another video. You know, and so you might kind of wonder, okay, well, what's all the point of this? You know, right now we're just exploring this site. We're saying, you know, we have a web application. What is it? What does it do? What are the different pieces of it? So any web application that we encounter, we might, you know, want to learn about it. Let's see, did I just do wake up? I think that was the one I just did. Yeah. Okay. And so the last one is join. So it gives us a different interface here, a little bit of text, and then it asks us to put in our email. So we're just going to say test@test.com, and all right, great, we'll be in touch. Okay, wonderful. So now let's see what we've picked up along the way in our Burp Suite here. So somewhere along the way, we've picked up some interesting stuff, and we can see here, right here, that there's obviously something coming from some kind of a WordPress system, because we see a WP content folder and a WordPress theme. So this is a common web application we should be very familiar with. We also see a WP login right here. So that makes us think immediately that, you know, if we were to just pop over here and say 192 there and go to like WP admin, it will probably get something, and here we get a login prompt for a WordPress site. So we know that somewhere in this thing there's a WordPress engine. Now this guy's got some other stuff. It says maybe /admin could be interesting. You know, the Nick2 scan's still running, but we've already assessed this thing and found another possible angle, a vector to take a look at. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to look closer at this vector. So WP scan --URL http://226.132, I believe it is. Is that where we are? I think. Pretty sure. Sure, yes. Oops. No. Okay, fine. Update your database. Yes, update database. All right, so, you know, immediately it says, okay, hey, there's a robots.txt, you know, you might want to look at. Well, it tells us more about this WordPress. So let's just go ahead and come over here and just throw robots.txt right there. And we get something. It says there's a couple of files that the robots doesn't want the robots looking at. And so first, this one, if we just take that and say right there, boom, we've got one of the keys. So there's 3 keys, and there's one of them already. Now, so that's like really easy. Now then we get to this one here. Well, let's take a look at it. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and download this file, whatever this is. And then let's go ahead and crack into this with the command prompt. So, I mean, right off the bat, without doing the plugins, you know, the WP scan didn't find anything terribly, ridiculously crazy. You know, found a couple things, but let's go ahead and let's see here. Let's go to the downloads directory, and then let's just do a let's just look at what is this file here. And so, you know, we see it contains a word list, and if we look at it, we see it's a significantly sized word list. So, you know, one thing we're just going to go ahead and do with this guy, because due to its size and whatnot, is we're going to see if we can remove any kind of duplicate entries that might be in this guy. And then at the same time, we're also going to just make a version of it that's inverted. So there, we've done that. Now we can see we have two files. One is much smaller and is deduplicated and inverted, and one is the original file. So now just kind of eyeballing this real quick, you know, it never hurts to, well, I mean, in this case, in a lab environment, it's you know, it never hurts to try a brute force attack. So just for fun, let's give this thing a shot with some brute force, and you know, let's utilize Hydra for this. So Hydra is a great tool, which I think is it's probably one of the classic tools that everybody kind of has to know how to use, and it can brute force like just about any kind of password or user interface for a wide range of stuff. So I've got my Hydra command crafted, and how it works is like this. Hydra, very verbose, threads 64, uppercase, this is login, so it's going to be what is the username, the login. This is a list. Uppercase is a user list. So we're going to use the original file as our login username list, because first we want to find a good username. We don't want to try to brute force every single possible pair of username and password. That would be ridiculous. We want to try just first to find the username, because when we try to log in as a user, we're going to learn, we're going to see that, you know, if we go here and if we say let's log in as a user, blah, and then put a password in, and then we log in, then one thing that happens is, if we look closely here, we did a let's see here, yeah, we basically did a get request. Where's my get request? Let me find it. Hang on now. Gonna be, okay, here it is. So I did a post, and I said, I said blah, password 1234. Okay, right? And so this is what it sent. So I know that up to right here, this is the command that matters to submit, that I want to use for my Hydra. And then in the response, I also know that the response states that I get an invalid username when I don't have a valid username. So Hydra can know that on my form, I'm doing an HTTP post, I'm going to this PHP deal there, and then I'm kind of putting in the string that I got in my burp sweep, but I'm replacing the variable for where I said blah and 1234. I'm replacing that with this caret user caret pass caret, and that correlates to what I'm doing here with this list of F06 and then P, lowercase p of null. Every single username on the list, and I'm gonna see if I can identify a match. And it appears that I have already found a match right here, and it is Elliot. So the username that I want is Elliot. Now at this point, I'm actually able to say, okay, let's go to the next phase of the attack. And in this case, we're going to now attack the password. So we know the user. Now, if we were to say, okay, let's go back here and let's say Elliot, and then let's put in a password. Let's say test, for example. Okay. It says the password you entered for the username Elliot is incorrect. And if we go and we look at our burp suite, we will see that we did another post. And in this post, we said username Elliot, password test, and then it returned a response which clearly states that is incorrect is in this thing, and it's a unique return in this deal here. So all we have to do is literally just run slight variation of the command where we say hydra variables lowercase list, because this is, or lowercase login, because it's going to be a single one, uppercase password because we're going to use a list. Let's use our other list that we created, and then we give it our IP and the method, and then the string associated with this method that we need, which is exactly the same except for the fail message at the end it's looking for is correct. So let's go ahead and run this. And it finds the password. So we have right here the password and the username. Now that's great, because with this information now, we'll go ahead and just copy this password and we will throw it in here. Now we will have broken into the WordPress site. We'll have broken into WordPress here. All right. So we've gotten into WordPress, but from here we need to do something. So we want to get ourselves a shell into the system. We want to actually get in and run as the context of the WordPress user and get in the system with the terminal shell. So the next thing we're going to want to do here is let's just go ahead and MSF console. And it just so happens that if you happen to know a WordPress username and password, especially if it's for, like, you know, an administrative user of that system, or somebody at least that can install plugins, for example, then you can put in a wonderful thing called a web shell straight into the guy. So web shells are a way for you to get a web server to return a session back to your listener. And you have to set up a listener, and then you simply say, hey, web shell execute, and then it gives you your session. So let's go ahead and use a WordPress web shell, and let's take a look at it. And let's set our rhost to 192.168.226.132. Set username Elliot, set password. Go ahead and give it our password. Ooh, can't do that. Hang on now. Gotta grab our password. This guy we just got. Okay, boom. Now let's go ahead and show options. Make sure everything looks good, and then try to exploit. So this thing's gonna attempt to run now, and first thing it says is the target does not appear to be running WordPress. So what's going on here is that this system is a system which is very much WordPress-like, but it has a couple of modifications that make it sort of unique, and we're gonna need to actually just do a little modification so that we can complete this. So let's go ahead and go to the directory where the exploit that I'm running is, and then let's go ahead and actually we're going to edit the exploit itself. Now in the Ruby, we're just going to come down and find here where it says fail. We're gonna just crap. Yes. Okay. Where it says fail, and we're just gonna need to do a let's see here. Can we do this? Okay, here we go. We just need to throw pound there just to kind of comment that line out, and then that ought to do it. So we go back into our sort guy here. Let me just get a couple of these loose windows out of the way. And then let's exploit again. Well, we might not work. We're gonna have to actually exit, go back in, load the console again. Let it load. Okay. Set the options again real fast. And then let's see if it exploits this time. Huh. Does not appear, target does not appear to be using WordPress. Well, we're on the right target, 226.132. Did we edit the right deal here? Because it sure is. Maybe I didn't save it or something. Let's go back in and just do this again differently. All right. So this is going to be under exploits. Under modules, exploits. And then I think it's Linux, and no, Unix. It's under Unix, and then web app, and then WP Let's see here. Where is it? WP. Okay, here it is. So let's just go ahead and open this guy up like such. And look at this again and just see if maybe okay, hang on. Maybe I messed up. I may have edited the wrong line. Maybe I need to edit this line right here, huh? Okay. Woohoo. Let's try this. Let's try this again. Okay. Here we go. I think it's gonna work this time. Here I am on an interpreter. So if I say sysinfo, I can see I have a terminal session into a Linux system, and at this point in time, I basically can kind of, you know, look around and decide, understand like where I am and what I can do. So let's start by seeing if I can drop into a shell. When you do this, you're kind of, now you're sitting there connected with a WebSocket and a shell. So there's various commands that you can run to actually spawn a full shell for you. And my personal favorite is going to be using a Python command to spawn one. Several different ways though. There's a great resource online for this, but let's just see if we can get one. So that gives us a shell, and if we say, okay, who am I? We know we're running as Damon. And so here we are, we have a shell, we're running as Damon, and we can pretty much just like wander around on this system now. So what can we do? What can we run? Well, whatever maybe Damon can do and Damon can run, which may or may not be everything we want, but let's just see what we can do here. So first thing that we're going to want to do is let's just take a look. You know, a lot of times the home directory is going to be interesting, and there's a user in there called Robot. Well, let's just take a look at what we got in here. Well, first off, there is key 2 of 3. Oops. By the way, tab completion does not work. Well, we can't see key 2 of 3 because permission is denied. But intriguingly, there's also this nice password.raw-md5 file conveniently sitting here with a username and password as a hash. So there's a lot of ways we can go ahead and try to crack this hash, but because we're super lazy today, we're just going to go to Crack Station and try this first. We're just going to throw this in here, beat a CAPTCHA, possibly, which, since we're in Kali Linux, is almost guaranteed to be given a CAPTCHA, which we may or may not beat the first time. And let's crack some hash. See what we get. Oh, how amazing. It's actually in the database here. Wow, okay, can you believe it? Here it is. So now we've got a password for this character here. Let's see what would happen if we were to say MrRobot. Toss the password we just cracked in there, and now we're in as robot. Whoa. Cat key 2 of 3.txt, and there's our key. We got 2. All right, now we just got to go for one more. Let's take a look here and just see, you know, I mean, one thing that we'd love to do is get into the root folder, but we can't. So we've got to escalate our privileges. So let's just say that, you know, we're going to use a command that's going to look for anything that may be owned by root. And one thing that we see pop up on this list is InMap right here. So, of course, InMap is known for having a interactive terminal in some old versions. So let's just take a look at this, and let's just see. Well, be careful here what I do. See if we can get somehow or another we seem to have possibly lost our shell for a second. Alright, so we're going to run InMap here, and we see it is version 3.81, so it does have a interactive shell we can use. Look at that. Root. Now all we have to do is... crap. Now all we have to do is just put ourselves in an SH terminal, really. Here we are. So now we can go to the root folder here, and first boot done. Key 3 of 3. There it is. So we've completed boot to root on MrRobot now, and we have gone from a weird custom web application that's basically a bunch of propaganda that's meant to look like a booting something or another. It's just really just text. It's just doing that. And it's really just a WordPress application and a JavaScript. And then underneath it, we're able to crack into the WordPress dashboard, upload a vulnerable plugin to it, and then, matter of fact, I wonder if we can see our vulnerable plugin here. What that would show up as exactly? Oh, yeah, I bet this is it right here. Yeah, so this right here is by, if you ever see anything that looks like this, you're probably owned. And if we were to deactivate that or delete it, I don't know, it might not even matter, because we'd still have to change the password of that user, and then, you know, it'd be better off if you couldn't brute force your way right into this website to begin with, or if you didn't have a dictionary file disclosing the actual password. Anyway, this thing's designed to be broken, so, you know, the kind of chain of events we went through would be sort of unusual, but it's not unusual to find things in places they shouldn't be, and then to use them in ways that, you know, allow you to do things that you shouldn't be able to do. So that's the whole premise behind hacking, and that's what the bad guys do. So if the good guys understand what the bad guys are doing and how they're doing it, then maybe the good guys have a better chance of being able to react and respond. So this has just been a demonstration of how to break into MrRobot, the vulnerable machine. And I'm going to turn to my stream at this point and just see if there's any comments or questions anybody maybe has. Probably not, because my stream is not exactly the big time yet. So, all right. Well, with all that, I will go ahead and sign off. This is Brandon from Node. It's been enjoyable and fun. I had a good time. I hope you learned something and that it helps further your career.